had to prepare and get myself some drinks, got myself some herbal tea, got some water, because my throat will probably die. Oh my gosh. So yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry about all the faffing and noise you probably heard just now. Yeah, I just had some delivery that's coming, so I wanted to make sure that we get that sorted out while I'm doing this. And yeah, just needed to get some drinks in the go. Anyway, so welcome to the full moon reading. Just want to say this is going to be for pretty much all the signs, okay? We're not really going to do it per sign. This is going to be a collective message, although if I do get specific messages that I feel like are for set signs, then I will mention that, all right? So I'm doing it a little bit differently this time round. And this one is a really significant one. We have the full moon in Pisces. So it's very spiritual. It's very much grounded in the fact that, you know, we're being asked to take a closer look at our inspirations at this time, where we draw the most inspiration in our life, where we find ourselves really tapping into our creativity, right? Even if you say, okay, well, Demario, I'm not someone who really is a creative type as such, you're still finding ways in which to be creative, right? You can be creative in pretty much everything, right? So it's not about being an artist or anything like that. It's just simply about getting into the creative zone, being inspired by, you know, other people, by the things you're interested in, by life itself, right? And using that creativity, using that inspiration to really tap into these portal energies that are coming through at this time, where you can really start to do that deep inner work, but also transcend certain blockages, right? So that you go even deeper beyond the kind of usual realm that you're used to navigating when it comes to the spiritual aspect, right? So some of you may find yourself finding it a lot easier to do astral projection or lucid dream, contacting the ancestors, things of that nature, right? So you tap into that type of abilities, right? Those types of abilities more. So just to give you a heads up of how you can really use this full moon to really tap into your creativity, but also, you know, check in with yourself spiritually, where you're at and where you would like to go with your journey. Okay. Hi there. I'm very well, thank you. How are you? But yeah, this is the thing. So it's worth thinking about. So let's take a look. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to pull a series of cards. As you can see, I've got a whole bunch of decks here. So we have, in regards to the tarot, I'll be starting with the Wild Unknown. I will use other decks if I feel I need to, but we'll see. But with regards to the Oracle decks, I'll be using the Moonology, the Angelarium, the Dark Mirror, and also the Isis Oracle, okay? So I'm just going to be pulling a whole bunch of messages, and I'll go through it and feel my way around it, okay? So this is going to be like a very intuitive reading, okay? So it's going to be a little bit different than perhaps what you've seen before on my channel, even though there's always an element of intuitive reading to all my readings. Yeah, these are going to be channeled messages for sure, okay? So let's see. So we'll start with the Dark Mirror deck and see what's coming up at this time. All right, so the first card is this me? How fitting. So yeah, I feel like this is very relevant, right? I mean, what's taking place right now is insane. Like the amount of transitions that's taking place, the amount of shifts that are currently taking place, not in terms of just like the planetary alignments, but also when it comes to ourselves, when it comes to where we're at as a collective. It's insane. You know, there is a lot of deep, not only deep level healing work taking place at this time, but there's also huge leaps in consciousness, right? Leaps in awareness, leaps on spiritual, you know, in terms of spiritual growth, right? It is unreal. It's getting to the point where a lot of people don't recognize themselves at all at this point. And I think the biggest challenge that most of us have going through this journey is letting go of old preconceptions, right? Letting go of things that we associate with our identity that are very much, you know, tangible and also tied into the ego, which, you know, of course, the ego plays an essential role when it comes to navigating the 3D realm. However, the ego is far more malleable than we realize, right? It's very adaptable, it's very fluid, but it only becomes rigid and very set in stone when we refuse change, right? And when we work actively against change. So this is what I feel like. I feel like it's a case of what we're seeing is this shedding away of the old and the absolute need to embrace the new, right? That whoever we thought we were is no longer relevant to who we are becoming, pretty much. It's like, sure, there's going to be certain key traits, there's going to be certain moral compasses and principles that you'll still hold dear, of course, right? But I think in regards to how we look at, you know, personality traits and habits and thought processes and mindsets and patterns of behavior in general, I feel like all of that is crumbling away at this time, right? And I think especially what's really supercharging that is the fact that the collective shadow is coming to the surface. You know me, like I talk about the shadow all the time because that's my key areas of focus. One of the main areas of focus for me is shadow work. I'm a shadow worker primarily, right? So I do look at individual energies, but I'm also tapping into the collective on a regular basis. And I can see it so clearly that the collective shadow really came to the surface, particularly over the last 2 to 3 months, more so over the last 6 weeks. It's been very intense. So there's been lots of revelations. There's been lots of painful truths. There's been a lot of conflict. There's been a lot of finger pointing and all of that. But the reason all of that's taking place is because, you know, what was hidden is no longer hidden. What is, you know, being forced into the closet, right? That's frequently forced into the closet is no longer able to. The closet's no longer there. The closet has been, you know, thrown away, essentially. So now there's nowhere to hide, right? So everything's coming to the surface. And that also means, you know, the masks that we wear on a day-to-day basis are falling away also. And not everyone is okay with that level of vulnerability or feeling that exposed, right? So for some people, this is going to be more challenging than others, right? And we can see that by how people react to certain situations. But rather than being judgmental about that, the best thing you can do for those of you who are aware of this and can see how it's affecting people is to not come from a place of judgment, but come from a place of understanding, okay? Because it isn't easy. Everyone's got their own inner battles that they're fighting right now. Some it's going to be more painful than others, but the best thing we can do is actually be supportive of each other. Because yeah, it's a big deal. It's a huge shift. And I'm telling you now, like some groups are feeling it way more than others. And it's not just about the zodiac signs either. It's about where you're currently at in your journey and when you began this inner work, right? Because I'm telling you, those that were doing it, you know, for years now, they're facing battles that those who are just waking up now will not have to face. And thank and thank the heavens for that, because it's rough, it's really tough. And that's where I feel like, the young generations, those who are just coming into adulthood now are going to be really, really important, right, for holding space and, bringing their fresh perspective, right, to this new timeline. So we have to support one another, no matter where you're at the journey, because we all have our own role to play, right? So that's the first message I got here. So I'm going to keep going with this deck so far. Just want to have a quick look. Are you going to predict for every person without zodiac cycle? No, this is a collective message, okay? So this is going to tap into the energies that's coming up for the collective over this full moon transit. But if any key messages come up and I feel like it's for specific signs, then I will mention that. Or if I feel like there's an urgent message that comes through for someone, then I'll relay it. But generally, this is going to just be the collective energy and whatever I tap into. I wanted this to be a bit more freeform and less rigid because I want to just feel the energies, especially because this is such an important full moon cycle, right? This lunar cycle is a very important one. So I just wanted to get a sense of what needs to be revealed at this time and just relay that information. There's no agenda, essentially. There's no plan as such. It's just relaying what needs to be said and what needs to be heard. So the next card is anger in chains, right? So this is what I was talking about a minute ago. I feel like a lot of the anger we're experiencing is just all of those repressed emotions, all those things that we hide behind the mask. Well, the mask is now gone. So of course, it's impossible to hide that at this point. So the best thing to do is, rather than trying to suppress it, or, when you see someone is having a bit of a moment, having some difficulties, right, with this transition, rather than poking them with a stick or judging them, or, if you're the one experiencing this, feeling guilty or bad for feeling this way, come to understand why this is happening. Take some time out and consider what could be triggering this. What is the cause of this? Especially at a time where, like I said, all of this is being uprooted from our unconscious, right? And that's how it's manifesting in various different ways. So it really is about coming to a place of understanding, not judgment. And rather than greeting this energy with anger and dismissal or loathing, it's coming at it from a place of pure love and understanding. That's what will actually alchemize those deeper and heavier emotions, right? It's just pure love. It will really, really just transform it entirely. It will completely alchemize that. So that's what I feel like the world is kind of missing right now. But hopefully, I think more people will be relaying that message in various ways, and we will start to see an even bigger shift with that. Okay. So, yeah, interesting. Let's keep going for now. So I'm going into the shadow aspect first, and then we'll take a look at, what messages and signs are coming in to help us with this process. Okay, so we have Naked Before the Stars. So, yeah, this is really speaking of being completely at peace with oneself, even in moments of, frailty, even in moments of vulnerability, even in our dark times, regardless of what's going on and what we're feeling. And no matter how exposed it may seem, no matter how challenging it may be, to just come to this place of full acceptance. That's what we're needing to do. Full acceptance of self, full acceptance of others, right? Not trying to meet an ideal that doesn't exist. And this is, something that applies on all levels. With the card itself, in terms of the deck, it does relay this message heavily on body image and physical appearance. But that's just an example, right? But it goes way deeper than that. It's more than just, what you perceive with the eyes. It's also what you feel being within the body, right? So it's not just about, acceptance of physical self. It's about acceptance of every aspect of being, all of it, right? No matter how challenging that is the task that we now face, to come into pure acceptance of self. So that's a really powerful message there. If there's anything you take from these messages so far, I think that one's a really important one. Because when you come to accept self, when you come to have true feelings of self-love, and not just, in the superficial way that gets promoted, but I mean true self-acceptance and true self-love, then you can offer that to the world, right? Even those that people generally deem unlovable because they're difficult, or because they're strange, or because they're not, as aesthetically pleasing as whatever the media tells you, whatever it is, right? Those people, you'll be able to reach them. You'll be able to touch their heart. And you could transform a life that way. Trust me, you'd be surprised. So that's what we need more of in the world, I feel. Okay, so that was the shadow work stuff in terms of the dark mirror deck. So let's see what the Angelarium can show us at this time in regards to key energies, signs, synchronicities, messages. So yeah, we're going deep on this one, so I hope you're prepared. I hope you're prepared for that. Yeah, because it's a very mixed bag on my channel, for those of you who are new here, it's a very mixed bag. It can go, quite light and airy, or it can go really deep. So it just depends on what needs to be relayed at this time. So yeah, it's not the place for fluff, as I always say. So let's take a look. Ooh, heavy. So we have Simikel, Angel of Vengeance. I feel like this very much ties into this anger and chains energy. So for me, I feel like it's the people who have been victimized systematically over a long period of time. They are now rising up. The anger has now reached the surface, and now we are forced as a society to confront that anger, to confront this dark reality that often gets overlooked, right? And that's what needs to happen, It's like, if you want positive change, if you want this utopia, right, you have to first look at the nitty-gritty. You have to first look at the dark underbelly in order to heal, right? In order to address the issues, because you can never accomplish it while there's still, so many people suffering, right? So I feel like this is what's it's tied into the fact that we're now having to take a really good close look at, our own actions, our own behaviors, the lies we tell ourselves, right? As well as what other people express, right? In order to hide from their own skeletons in the closet, to hide from, whatever they deem too painful to stare in the eye. But I feel like the time is up, that you can no longer hide from the shadow. It's very much up in front and center. So the best thing we can do right now is to confront our own darkness, right? Because we all have it. We have a shadow aspect. And, the shadow aspect really isn't what people think it is. Yes, it is a house for your repressed emotions, for past traumas, for, things of that nature, right? But there's also other things that are attached to that, I feel personally. As I've done this work and gone deeper within it, I feel like there's certain energies that carry over as well. Pretty, pretty closely tied to ancestral karma as well and past life karma. So it's not as straightforward or as simple as saying, oh, it's just something that happened in your childhood. I mean, this can also hark back to something that happened 3, 4, 5, 6 generations ago, right? But you're still carrying that energetically. So that's why I feel like it's really important to go deep and do the inner work and just be completely honest with yourself, be completely transparent with your own soul and lay it all bare on the altar, you know, of your own divine being, right? So that you can assess where you're at, what is holding you back, what is causing you pain, what you feel you need to forgive yourself for, and let it go, right? Otherwise, if you don't do that, then you're going to find it very, very difficult in the coming years, believe me. So it's better if you do that now while you can. Okay, that's my advice there. Hi, Emily, nice to see you. Thanks for dropping in. So yeah, the full moon's actually, I believe, it's Wednesday morning. I believe Wednesday morning our time, but obviously it depends on where you are in the world. But I like to do these ahead of time so you're prepared and you know what kind of energies are coming up. Yeah, it's in the sign of Pisces, so it's a heavy transit for some of us. Pisces, yeah, it's going to be really powerful for Pisces. In a very positive way, actually. You can use this to your benefit. So yeah, definitely a very good time for getting into deep meditation, you know, doing your full moon rituals if you have some, doing, you know, any cleansing of your house yourself, you know, and just really getting serious about what your intentions are, what you want for your spiritual journey, what understandings and teachings that you would like to ask from your divine self, and also your guides and, you know, the angels and whoever else you connect with, and get that assistance, get that information, get that support, right? It's available to you. Now's a good time to reach out and ask for it, regardless of what your sign is. So yeah, definitely worth thinking about. Okay. So let's see what else we can get here from the Angelarium. Oh my gosh, you can't make this up. So yeah, we're getting very heavy to begin with, but don't worry, there'll be lighter healing messages coming up. But it's like we said, man, now's the time to confront the shadow head on. Like there's no time left. There's nothing to hide behind anymore. You know, I've been talking about this for years. Like I first started like ringing, you know, in movies, you usually have like that crazy guy, the crazy woman who's like in a robe, just like ringing the bell, like a doomsayer, right? That was me like 5 years ago, just trying to like get people to wake up and realize what world they're living in and what's happening around us, you know, so that they can break out of the spell and do their inner work. But yeah, so it's been an interesting time. But yeah, I feel like this is it, you know, this time that I was talking about, it's here. So we got to do the inner work, right? So moving with, you know, that speech in mind, you have Azrael, Angel of Death. So while this looks terrifying and a lot of people think, oh my gosh, this is the end. No, it's not the end. It's just the beginning. This is saying that there is a death to the previous cycle. There is a death coming to the old ways of doing things. Where we've been self-sabotaging as a species, where we've been self-sabotaging as a society, as a civilization, right? We can now say it's time to do better. We can now say that, you know, the methods of the past didn't work. So now we need to take a good look at what we need to change, what we need to release. You know, it's not about patching over the holes and hoping that, you know, the dam doesn't break. It's about, you know, destroying the dam and rebuilding it from scratch, essentially, right? with better materials, right? Paying close attention to the details. So this is what Azrael's energy is all about. It's about, taking an axe to the old and rebuilding something completely anew with the right tools, the right intentions, with your will, powering it essentially. So it's actually very, very positive, and that's so perfect for that energy then. It just looks terrifying because it's like I said, it is a complete end to something that no longer has a place, right? So it's going to be very, harsh. It's going to be very cutting, but it's absolutely necessary, And then once all is said and done, I love that this is under the deck. You see this energy, one of the lighter cards under the deck. Is the Chalet girl, yeah. And yeah, this is about when all is said and done, and we then are left with the rubble. We can tap into that energy of renewed hope, right? You can find hope even in the most desolate of places. So I feel like what we're seeing is the breaking down, the deconstruction of the old timeline, right? And then in the rubble of those ashes, we can then tap into that sense of renewed hope. And then we can build from a place of understanding, from hope, from, wanting to do it right, wanting to do it in the best possible way. So, like I said, very positive. It's all about perspective. Yeah, no problem, Emily, no problem. Just whenever works for you. You're welcome to drop me a message on Instagram, so no problem. Okay. Ooh, interesting. I think I've only had this card once or twice. So we have Remph, Angel of Time. Time. So this is very much the energy of Saturn, of Kronos, right? It is about, there's about two perceptions of time, actually. We have Kronos and Kairos time. So from the 3D reality, when we're tapping into it from our day-to-day conscious, aspect, we're perceiving what we call Kronos time. It seems to be very much in the present, and it's we only truly have the moment, but we're perceiving it as something that we navigate in a linear fashion, right? So hopefully that makes sense. But when it comes to this energy, it's not just talking about, the day-to-day shufflings of mortals. This is talking about the eternal as well. This is talking about the soul seat that stretches beyond the expanse of Kronos time, that is constantly in the space of Kairos time, actually. So time becomes very fluid then, right? And it's about, with this spiritual journey, you have the ability to tap into Kairos time in a more profound way, right? So if you are looking to, do a lot of healing in the astral, for example, or if you're looking to tap into higher planes of existence, if you're looking to have more direct communication and go into real communion with the divine, this is your guy here. Okay, this energy is all about that. So it's about both things in tandem, finding that beautiful balance between having this mortal experience, being grateful for each waking day that we have, but also taking time out to be present, but at one with all that is, and to really tap into our own divinity and therefore connect with the source itself, right? And then that's where you can get like unbelievable downloads, of information. That's where you can really tap into the guidance of the divine, the ancestors, the archangels. So if you feel like you're in need of support, if you feel like, the path isn't so clear and that conventional advice isn't cutting it, take some time out to tap into that energy. All you have to do is, take a moment out of your day and sit in stillness, in the quiet, and reach out. You'll be heard, I promise you. And as long as you're open to receiving that help and you're able to see the signs, you'll receive it. So I'm going to go to the booklet to give you specific signs that are attached to REMP's energy, just in case it does come up for you. There'll be other signs that are specific for you. So you do need to be aware of that, where you're feeling there's something more significant to what you're seeing or experiencing or hearing, right? Because it can come in many forms. So now would be a good time to keep an eye and ear out for that. Because I don't know about you guys, but I've been having like synchronicity on a whole nother level. So now's a really good time to pay close attention to the signs and symbols where you see them. Okay, so for REM, it's a clock, a torch, a wave, okay? So a clock, a torch, or a wave. There might be something significant there, some message that's being relayed, or the divine is trying to bring your attention towards something in that moment. So yeah, just the heads up, really. Okay, so I'm gonna just clear out these cards now, because I feel like we got the heavy messages out the way first, which I'm really glad about, because one, it was really important, but two, I don't like to leave things on the heavier note. I like to go through the nitty-gritty first and then get into, the problem solving, right? We address the problem and then we look at the actual solution, right? And then messages that can really help empower you at this time. That is the beauty of shadow work, I have to say. So yeah, so I really want to look at that. And then I also want to look at other messages that can help you with this highly spiritual time that we're navigating. So yeah, just bear with me a second. I'll grab the Moonology deck. Sorry if you can hear noise in the background, by the way. We're just having dinner soon, so. You probably heard me, some of you probably heard me quacking away earlier in the background, and I'm sorry about that. I forgot that I had set this up. So yeah, I wasn't actually in the room when the stream started, and I feel really bad. But yeah, I just kind of lost track of time for a second. But yeah, hi Marco, nice to see you. Thanks for dropping in. You're afraid of the dark. Yeah, I mean, I think we all are on some level. The dark is terrifying. It's mysterious. It's the unknown. It's the unseen, right? So we all experience that on some level. I think I'm just going to put these cards in here because I'm not going to use them. We all experience it on some level because we can't see what lies beneath the veil, right? So it is scary. And that's why I think it's kind of wrong that we tell kids, like, we just kind of mock kids when they're, scared of the dark, like, oh, don't be silly, there's nothing there. Oh, why are you afraid? It's a very natural thing, actually, to be afraid of the dark, especially because it taps into the primal aspects, your reptilian brain. That's all to do with survival and danger assessment, right? That's what kept us alive through all of these, tens of thousands of years. So, even hundreds of thousands of years. So it's a very natural thing, actually, for a kid to be afraid of the dark. I think I'm just going to read this. So I think we should change the approach on that a little bit, actually. Because then what we're doing is we're reaffirming, sorry, I will speak one day, to the child that to have a concern about something that, may not be completely tangible is absurdity. And it kind of just undermines any feeling that they have that something might be wrong or out of place, or, if something's not clear that, perhaps there isn't more to it. We don't want to encourage that. What we want to do is, find that happy medium but we try and empower kids so they're not afraid, but at the same time, encourage them to use their intuition, actually. So that's my stance on it anyway. Self implies other. Life implies death. Life is death. Death is life. Life and death are part of the same spectrum. They're on the same spectrum. They're very much a part of the same aspect of existence, right? You can't cheat one or the other, essentially. It is what it is. So I think it's all about, again, perception. Perception is pretty much everything. It all depends on how we choose to view it. So yeah, let's go into the Moonology. But I'm gonna have a sip of my drink first, because I get kind of thirsty and my voice starts to crack out if I don't drink some. But yeah. There's a couple of cards here that want to come out, so I'll take them. So we have Don't Let Pride Get in Your Way, full moon in Leo. So we could have some Leos knocking about, right? But I feel like the message here is, again, like I said, there is a bit of a collective ego death going on right now. So the best thing you can do in this time is to let it happen, actually. Don't fight against it. It's like, actually, this is kind of exciting because I get to relearn myself entirely. That I'm not confined to any boundaries or limitations, that I can just explore my being as a multi-dimensional divine being. I don't have to conform to any, notion that others set forward. I can just explore this new awareness that I have. I can explore this new frequency that I'm tapping into. I can reshape and remold my identity as I choose to, because the confines that existed for me in the past doesn't exist anymore. And the person I thought I was isn't relevant to who I am now. So the only thing that can get in your way really is clinging on to the old, right? Clinging on to the old doesn't serve you, because it just makes the process more painful, actually. So the best thing you can do is just to let it happen naturally, not force it either way, but just go with it. And just notice, right? Be like an observer, right? Notice the changes and just have fun with it, explore it, kind of like a kid being in a child state, right? That's going to be really healthy for you at this time. So I feel like for those of you where you do have a lot of inner child wounds, that's the first thing you need to address at this point, okay? Because the inner child is going to really help you throughout all of this, because it is a difficult time. Okay. And next card is a win-win outcome is forecast. Amazing. So see, like, even though it's heavy right now and there's a lot going on and we're having to adapt to all sorts of things, it's all going to work out for the highest good. That's the whole point of this process. Because things are not where they need to be at this time. So we're having huge shifts taking place around us. And what we got to remember as well is that as a collective, we asked for this. This is what we wanted. So that's what's happening. Is that, okay, you want these big changes, you want positive changes, you want the world to be a better place. All of this has to go first, So that's pretty much what's happening. But in the end, it's going to be for the highest good of all. So I really like that coming out. Awesome. And we'll see if there's any other messages here at this time. Do you think ego death can happen twice? It can happen multiple times. Ooh, card just flew out from across the room. Give me a second. But I can tell you from my own personal experience that I've had ego death more than once. On a profound level, I've probably experienced it 3 times now, actually, throughout my entire life. And the third time was very recently, I can tell you. So yeah, it can definitely happen more than once. And the chances are, if you're really, doing this work, you're going to experience it multiple times throughout your life, because you are not the same person that you once were. You only stay the same when you resist change, when you refuse growth, the opportunity for spiritual and psychological growth, right? Okay, let's see if anything else comes out. Yeah, there's a lot of things I've had to reflect on myself. There's a lot of behaviors that I've had to look at from my past, especially when I was younger. I was a complete lost mess. I'll be the first one to admit that. I didn't wake up and was like, I'm a guru, I can heal the world. It was nothing like that. Like I speak all this stuff because I live it. Like I have experience in what I'm talking about. I've been, completely lost and just absolutely knee deep in depression and anxiety. And then I've been on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. So I know what it is that I'm talking about because, I have real world experience with it. And even obviously things of metaphysical nature as well. So, everything I say is what I know from experience and what I'm practicing myself, So I'm just as much affected by all this as everyone else. I'm just as much having to do my work and inner work and, face myself in the dark mirror just as much as everyone else, So I really just want to highlight that as well. I'm not one of those people that talk like, like my shit don't stink and I've never, experienced a day of hardship in my life and I just kind of came into this world ascendant. No, like I was literally, in the trenches from day one. So I get it. I totally get it. Okay, let's see. I'm shuffling for ages, but I was just waiting for the card to to reveal itself. Okay. So we have time to release negativity. Full moon is Scorpio. I forgot to mention win-win forecast is Libra. So I wonder if we have any Libras that have been, clocking in at any points. I have a lot of Libras in my life these days, actually. It's quite funny. I don't know how, but I've just been attracting a lot of Libras into my life. But Libras are awesome generally. But yeah, full moon in Scorpio. Maybe we have a Scorpio around as well. But yeah, it's really about, like I said, doing that inner work to free yourself from it, release that negativity. It's only going to be a burden if you cling to it. It's only a burden if you keep trying to shy away from it, because you're not going to be able to anymore. It's very much in your face. We don't have a dark closet to shove this shit in anymore, so we have to just kind of face it for what it is. And then free ourselves from it, because we're not supposed to be prisoners to our own nonsense, right? And the nonsense of others, and to the maniacal schemes of, those that shall not be named. So this is it. It's time to release, time to heal and free ourselves from that. I'm going to put this here, actually, that belongs here. And then we have surrender to the divine, full moon. Yeah. This is it. This is it. This is exactly this full moon energy, right? If there's any card I want you to fixate on, put your energy into, it's this one. I know it's backwards for you. I can't do anything about that. I know it's the wrong way around. But yeah, this is the one, right? Full moon in Pisces. This is the energy that's coming in for us at this time. Surrender to the process, surrender to the divine. It's in your highest good. It's for you, right? It's to help you with this transition. So the less you resist, the better it'll be for you. Never mind anything else, or anyone else. It'll be better for you. Otherwise, it'll be more painful for you. So, I really can't put it any more bluntly or clearly than that. So it's just knowing that the universe has your back. It always had your back. You just didn't necessarily know it at the time. But yeah, amazing. Okay, I'm satisfied with those messages, I believe, and hopefully you are too. Oh gosh, but yeah, I really like that. So what we'll do is we'll go over to one of my favorite decks ever, the Isis Oracle. I actually ordered like 4 more Oracle decks, but they're not here yet because, posting internationally at the moment is a nightmare. It's bad enough trying to get things arriving on time in Greece anyway, but, especially with this situation right now in the world, it's particularly tricky. So yeah, can't wait to use them when they do arrive though, as much as I do love my existing ones. Okay, so let's go over to the gorgeous Isis Oracle, and then we'll pull some tarot messages. Again, I need a sip of my water though. And why is this card stuck to the table? Oh, wonderful, there's some water on the table. Okay, so let us see. I'm just reading over your comment because, I do want to check in as well. I thought I was. That inflated my ego after it died. Then I fell into the darkness. It's a rocky journey. And I'll tell you what, like, it's not linear either. It goes in waves, so you can be on the high of it afterwards and then you can come crashing down. But it's trying to find that sweet spot, that beautiful equilibrium, where you're just in a state of peace rather than being on a high or a low so much. But yeah, it's a process. It's not easy. Okay. Oh, love it. I'm telling you, the universe is not messing around. It's like you guys need to wake up and realize what you are, because I'm getting tired. It's like I can't tell it to you and show you in, any more ways than I already have. The universe is not playing, I'm telling you. Okay. So, the first card was Goddess of 10,000 Names, Isis, Endless Emanations of the Priestess. So this is talking about coming into awareness of your own dimensionality. How do I even say that? Is that even a term? Probably not. But the multiple aspects of self. There we go. Let's go with that. Yeah, that's what it's really speaking of. It's like I was saying to you, you kind of associate, probably because everyone does this on some level at least. Everyone associates themselves with one specific identity, even though you are, a multifaceted being, I mean, that's the thing. Like, if you look at ancient religions and you see all the different depictions of of pretty much the same type of gods and goddesses, or even certain, like, especially in Hinduism, where you have one god that has like 10,000 heads, 10,000 arms. There's a reason for that, because they are a multifaceted, multi-dimensional being existing on multiple planes of existence, right? So that's the point, right? It's you coming to that realization that you are also a multi-dimensional, a multifaceted being, right? That's only limited by their own beliefs, right? That's only limited by perception. That's why I keep banging on about it so much, because it really is a case of that, to be honest. But I'll also I'll read the passage, like just the short summary of the card from the booklet as well, just so you can hear it from the creator. Okay. Because I do love this book, like the messages are so good in it, so I like to share them. Okay. Isis, excuse me. Isis, with many names, forms, associations, and expressions, is referred to as the goddess of 10,000 names. A name holds power. It defines and energizes or limits. What did I just tell you? The names, faces, and roles that you play are just one part of your being, yet you exist beyond them, beloved initiate, as a vast being, right? You are currently realizing that you are not only that you are not limited by previous identities that you held. You can't make this shit up. Like seriously, this is what I was talking about earlier, right? Anyway, instead, you are becoming more of your whole self. Enjoy the uncovering of even more you. Again, if there's any other card and message I really want you to pay close attention to, it's this one. Powerful message. And it's so true. Like the truth is just absolutely resonating in this particular message. That realization is enough, right? Like if everyone came to that realization, you could literally change the world just like that. It would change everything, you know? And that's why I've been out here ringing my bell, trying to bring this to the awareness of the collective, you know? Because you don't need to rely on a higher power. It's good to get advice, of course, and assistance, divine assistance, but you don't need to rely on a higher power. You don't need to be more than what you are. You need to realize what you are. That's the key thing here. So that's really, really awesome. Okay. So I think this was the next card I pulled. So we'll go over to Wings of Isis, uniting with the angelic self. So this is what's happening with the cracking of the ego. It's helping us to reform it in a healthy way. So we do come into a true alignment and understanding of our higher self, the angelic self in this case, right? It's the same thing, but they just word it as the angelic self. So again, we'll go into the booklet. I think it's one of the last cards, actually. If not it's the last card in the deck. All right. So you have a special spiritual relationship with the angelic worlds. Part of your soul purpose is to birth angelic consciousness and values such as fearlessness, compassion, and service into human culture. This oracle brings you angelic assistance and intervention, and confirmation that not only confirmation that any impressions you may have had that you belong not only to the human kingdom, but also to the angelic one are correct. To be honest, I feel like we all are, you know. I don't feel like that's just a set group of people. I feel like we all are, at least to some degree, you know, maybe some more than others, but I feel like that's the case for pretty much everybody, right? So this is it. You know, that pretty much sums it up for me. I don't really need to go any further with that. Okay, and then next card you have is Enter the Chamber of Healing, healing in the divine chamber of the Lady Isis. So yeah, this is it. We are being greatly supported at this time with our inner healing. There's so much assistance available to us now. So there's really nothing truly to fear, no matter how, you know, unknown and, you know, and vast it may seem at this time, you know, what is opening up to us. There truly is nothing to fear. We are being heavily supported and guided at this time. So the best thing to do is just to take that step forward. So go to the booklet. Okay. A spiritual gift of healing is coming to you now. Be open without expectation or preconceived notions, and allow the healing from the Lady Isis, Mistress of Magic, to help you find the best solution for any situation that does not appear to be as it should be. Take your time and create space into which her magic and energy can flow. Expect your miracle. See? So you've got heavy divine assistance here available to you at this time. So if you feel like there's a burden you've been carrying, or you've just been feeling really drained by some difficult circumstances, or you feel like you have some deep healing that needs to take place, reach out. The assistance is available to you. So don't be afraid to do that, okay? Okay. And then finally, we have initiation, spiritual testing of Ra and Lady Isis. Tell me about it. Tell me something I don't know. Oh my gosh. Yes, we're going through a serious series of tests this year in particular, but it's been going on for a very long time. But it's only ramping up because we're at a very crucial point. We're at a crossroads. And I feel like we've already made our decisions. And now with the new, we must watch the old fall away. And that's pretty much what's happening. So, yeah, just give me a second to find this. Okay. So, when you are being spiritually initiated into the mysteries of light, love, and power, there are moments of deep challenge. The key is to find the light within the challenge, the learning, growth, or wisdom that can be summoned to turn the challenge into an opportunity for healing. Whilst the scorching sun of Ra seeks to burn through any resistance, the Lady Isis, with compassion and cleverness, will protect you from burning and instead will enable you to be nourished and grow from the light of Ra. Let Isis help you pass the test of intense growth as you thrive with new life, right? So that's it. You're being put under pressure in order to be formed, right? Like a diamond. Yes. So that's what's taking place right now. And it's like, yeah, they can't, the divine can't, wrap you up in cotton wool. That wouldn't be serving of you and that wouldn't get you anywhere, right? You have to be hit with the hard reality. You have to go through the pain in order to transcend it, and become renewed. So that's pretty much what's going on. It's like Phoenix rising energy. And I've been feeling that for so long now, it's definitely Phoenix rising. I'm surprised that hasn't come up in this reading, to be fair, but yeah, awesome. Okay. So I'm going to go to the tarot now, see what messages I can get from this. It will be completely an intuitive read. I mean, I don't really need the cards as such, but, I like using them. It's always good to get the visual aspects. I'm a very visual person, so I quite like it. Even though when it comes to, obviously, the intuitive aspects, like, that really taps into clairsentience rather than clairvoyance. But anyway, so let's take a look. Okay. Just going to build up a little picture for myself here and we'll go into it. Okay. So, awesome. So yeah, first card is the Two of Cups. I feel like this is really speaking of the union of self, rather than this being about, coming into a union of a relationship as such. I feel like this in particular is speaking of divine union of self. Yeah. So that's what I'm seeing here. I feel like you're refilling both cups. I feel like the divine feminine and masculine aspects of yourself have both been running empty, but you're now coming to a space where you're recognizing that in one way or another, and you're beginning to do something about it, right? You're beginning to take some time out to withdraw from, the circus that's out there at the moment and just replenish yourself. And I feel like if you really do tap into that divine assistance that's available to you, that will help massively with that, right? Coming back into divine union with your feminine and masculine attributes so that you're not feeling like you're having to overcompensate, and fall back into old behaviors that are not serving you, old thought processes that do you harm, right? Getting into certain friendship groups or relationships that hold you back or make you feel like you have to express yourself less authentically, or that holds you back from being able to step into your truth, whatever it is, right? It's going to play out in various different ways. But I feel like it's coming to that point where that's just not even going to be a thing anymore. It's not even possible, because you are whole and complete. And not that you're not complete, but you realize it. And then you start treating yourself as such, and then you start nurturing yourself in that way. And then, yeah, it's literally a case of once you're in that zone, the world is your oyster. You can start playing around in the astral and seeing, how you can create beautiful, positive changes for the collective as well as yourself. Not from a place of ego, but from a place of pure love. That's really beautiful. I really like that. And then with the Emperor in reverse here, I feel like that's kind of what's being brought into question at this time, especially the divine masculine aspect at this point has been very wounded and troubled for a long time, right? Obviously, the feminine has had her fair share of trials, right, and struggles by all means. But I feel like right now the masculine is struggling to support the feminine, because the divine masculine itself is feeling the weight. It can't be the support and the initiator, right, that it needs to be, because it doesn't have the support that it needs at this time, because the feminine is still in recovery, it's still in healing, right? But soon there will be a point where both aspects of self will be back in alignment. That's why it's really important that you focus on your creativity, your expression, right, of creativity, using your words, using your gifts, your talents, expressing yourself from the heart, from the soul, right? Because all of those things really strengthens the feminine, and it gives rise to new ideas, to new passions, to new approaches, which will then support the masculine, and the masculine has something tangible to work with that it can go out and use, right? Go out and initiate, go out and create, right? Because the divine feminine aspect is the inspiration, is the creativity, is the one that plants the seed. It's then the masculine that takes that seed and runs with it and makes something of it. I hope that makes sense. So that's what needs to take place right now. And I feel like she is, because you have the masculine here, the Emperor in reverse, and you have the feminine here, right? So I feel like, yeah, she is coming back into her own. She's here, right? She's right here, and she's in the upright. So she is healing. She is coming back into her own, which is good. And I feel like if the collective uses this full moon to really tap into their emotions, to their emotional body, their spiritual body, and really draw upon the inspiration that can flow in at this time, and spiritual understanding and compassion and love and tenderness and that sort of thing, then yeah, that's going to go a long way with this, for sure. I can really see that. That's what the world needs right now. And then with the 5 of Cups in reverse, it's like, yeah, everything that was hidden in the past, all the guilt, the shame, the fear, as we discussed, all of that stuff is now been brought to light. There is no hiding it anymore. So it's like there's nothing left to fear. There's nothing to suppress at this point. The best thing you can do is lay it on the altar of the divine and give it up to the universe to be healed, transmuted, while you do your inner work. because you don't need to hold on to it anymore. You can let it go now. That's what you're being essentially told at this time, that it's okay, it's safe to let it go now. That you're being heard, you're understood, you're valid, right? Your feelings, your thoughts, your fears, the pain, it's all been valid. It's validated. But you don't have to hold it anymore because we see it. And, you have support available to you. Maybe you didn't feel like that in the past, but you do now. You do. And whether that's through friends, family, strangers like myself, if you don't know me very well or at all, there are always people that'll be willing to hear you out, as well as obviously the divine is always there. So, yeah, it's important to know that. And then if we go over here to, the Seven of Cups here, it's really asking you to look at the astral. This isn't even about confusion at this point. This is about what we believe to be possible, what we believe to be, a possibility. The dreams, the imagination, the miracles, right? You remember we even mentioned that earlier about miracles, believing in miracles. That came up in one of the Moonology cards. I feel like that's what you're being asked to do. Believe in miracles, believe in the impossible. I got that message strongly myself just yesterday when I did a reading for myself. It was reminding even me to, really believe in what we believe to be the improbable, impossible, unlikely. It doesn't matter because none of that really is real, right? Like none of that is real. It's a case of if we believe it, then it's possible. No matter how ridiculous it may seem. And it's asking you now to reassess and reevaluate what you believe to be possible. And I feel like when you are in that element, when you're at that point where, the divine feminine and masculine aspect here is in true alignment and both cups have been replenished, right? That's when you'll start to open up in perspective and see just how possible things truly are. That miracles can happen and do happen far more regularly than you imagined. That there is very little holding you back other than yourself, right? And what we believe to be true, what we believe to be possible. So it's a very powerful message in, self-realization, actually, and self-awareness. The more you come to understand self, the more you embrace true self, the less you'll be concerned with, when it comes to the shadow aspect, like your fears or what you think you're not good enough for or anything like that. Those things don't even exist anymore because you just know. You step out of being, unsure and scared and fearful and out of the not knowing and more into the knowing. And the more you step into knowing, the less fear there is. Fear just starts to dissipate. But the thing is, it's not even that fear can't be useful. In some situations, fear can be useful. After all, like I said, it has stopped us from doing ridiculous things. It stopped the population dying out, But it's about putting that fear into perspective. It's about having a healthy amount of fear. And I feel like that balance has been really tipped out. It's just completely out of whack and has been for a long time, right? And we know that there are groups of organizations and people that are preying on that, the collective of the fear of the collective, sorry. But the best thing we can do on an individual level is to face our fears and see that they're only real when we give power to it. Once we take that power away, it's no longer real. I don't know if you guys are into horror movies. I used to really be into them when I was a kid. I still like them, but I used to watch them a lot when I was a kid. Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street. It was the one film that scared me more than anything when I was a kid. It used to even terrify my mum, so she was so mad when she found out that I watched it at sleepover when I was really little. But anyway, Nightmare on Elm Street is a classic horror movie. But even though it's ridiculous and it's just supposed to be like a bit scary and all the rest of it, it makes a very good point in there that even though Freddy Krueger is like this force, like this metaphysical presence that is so evil that he manages to transcend even death and get to kids through his dreams, right? Through their dreams. But what was amazing, and it was very well written actually, like this aspect, the thing that actually stops him, at least temporarily, in the first one is the fact that Nancy, the main girl in it, she realizes how he became so powerful and that he was preying on their fear, right? That's what darkness does. It preys on your fear. So the moment she chose courage and she stood still, she took a moment of stillness, faced Krueger directly, and said, I'm not giving you power anymore. I take every bit of power I gave to you, and literally just calmly turned away and walked off, gone. He couldn't harm her anymore, right? That's the key message here. That's the point, right? It was so prominent, that message at the end. Even if the delivery was a little bit cheesy, it's true, right? That fear is only as strong as you allow it to be. And that's the point. You take, you take the power back from the things that you fear. And what are you left with then? And I feel like that applies on many levels, regardless of whatever fears you may have when it comes to your emotional stability, your emotional support, work life, your home life, your personal life, your relationships, right? Your spiritual journey, your physical health, mental health, whatever it is, right? It's important to face your fears head on, because I promise you, once you start to do that and you start to deconstruct them and break them down, it's never as bad as we thought it would be. It's never as bad as we believed it to be, because we gave power to it, right? So that's the thing. So yeah, less of the fear, more of the potential. And I feel like with the moon card in reverse here, so this is very strong. I know people like to hear the zodiac signs, so I'm just going to do this real quick. So we have, I'm dropping out candle wax everywhere. So we have the Emperor here, the Empress. So this is strong Aries energy and Taurus energy. We also have, the moon, Pisces, and Cancer. Yeah. And then with the Father of Pentacles in reverse, King of Pentacles, we have Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Obviously, I feel like these messages are suitable for all, but those are the prominent signs here in terms of astrology. But yeah, I feel like in this case, when it comes to the moon, going back to the moon in reverse here, we are confronting a lot of those fears. We're confronting a lot of our unknowns. The moon is in reverse. That means whatever was once veiled is now seen. And what is still yet to be seen will become apparent with time. Right? And it's certain just knowings as well that we have. That we don't need to be explicitly told. We don't need to be explicitly shown, right? Or have it demonstrated. We just know. It comes from tapping into that inner knowing and that higher wisdom that we have within ourselves. I feel like we are unlocking a lot of understandings at this time. And it's about being able to look between the lines as well, being able to see the picture within the picture, the hidden notes in songs, right? Because that's where the real message is. That's where the real depth of the truth is lurking, between the lines, right? Not just what's so obvious and clear. And then with the Four of Pentacles in reverse, I feel like a lot of us are feeling like the rug has been, swept from beneath our feet. We're having to reassess our foundations, what we believe to be sturdy foundations in our environment, the foundations we build within ourselves, that which we prop ourselves on, right? Things that we believe that is going to keep us safe, that is going to keep us from falling, is going to keep us from reaching certain depths that we may have experienced in the past, or that will prevent us from, being in just harm's way in general. But I feel like we're slowly having to confront the fact that the foundations that we believe to have been keeping us safe and sturdy aren't necessarily real. They aren't necessarily grounded in any actual tangible reality. It's just an illusion that we tell ourselves so that we have this illusion of control and being able to, hide, like I said. But the more that we can be fluid, the more that we can be adaptable, the more we can adapt to our environment, the more we can become at one with our environment. I feel like there is a very strong message there when it comes to the natural world, especially, that we need to be, in true harmony with it. And it's not about, being at one with nature. We're always at one with nature, even when we're hiding in a concrete block, because you are nature. There's no escaping that. But it's about being in harmony with the rest of nature, right? Rather than acting against it in, with only the consideration of it's not even our base needs, really, because there's a lot of things that we need from the natural world, but we just delude ourselves into thinking that we don't need, right? So if we're willing to let go of certain customs and ways of living and really take a new approach to our true reintegration with the natural world, then truly the divine feminine will be back in full force. That's when you will see all of these illusionary structures that we built truly come crashing down without even having to lift a finger, because it's just not even able to withstand that type of frequency. So that's what I feel like needs to take place when it comes to that. And then looking at the King of Pentacles here in reverse, like I said, the divine masculine energy has been struggling, And we think that, because everyone talks about the patriarchal society. And yes, in some ways it does come across that way, and it has been that way. But I feel like it's not even really reflective of the divine masculine at all, not even a little bit. It's a distortion of that. It's a perversion of that. And the divine masculine is really suffering as a result. And that's what needs to change, That's why we need to go with these big shifts, readdress these limiting and suffocating social norms that we have and beliefs. mean, especially when, we know that mental health is really at a crisis point, particularly for young men, or those who identify at least as males, right, as men. Young men are really having a hard time maintaining good mental health. And I can really feel that with this card, especially. And I've even had my own experiences with that recently, where I've seen, people lose that battle. And, for me, it's a case of we really need to address this now, because otherwise we'll keep losing brothers, sons, friends, cousins, nephews, right? Divine Feminine is holding her own right now. Not as easily, but not easy by any means, but she's doing it. But the masculine really needs support right now. And yeah. So it's time to change the narrative when it comes to how we express ourselves. What is acceptable to be said? When is it okay to ask for help? What is it okay to offer help? We need to change all of that. If you see something, if you see someone struggling, offer it. What's the harm in making that offer, right? And I feel like so many of us want to do that now. I see it so much on social media. I see it so much in the conversations that people have, that we all want to do this. We all want to see this change. So let's keep going with that, because the more we keep normalizing that, the more we let the divine masculine know that it's okay to express yourself. It's okay to not always be strong in the way that you think you're expected to be. It's okay that, you feel differently towards things than perhaps the people around you. That you see things differently, right? That you don't want to conform to the expectations of others. That's okay. You don't have to. We've already been relaying that message to the Divine Feminine for a while. But I feel like it's time that the Divine Masculine gets that boost as well. Okay. And that's basically it. That's like the whole message in a nutshell. We went really deep into it this time. We really did. We went through all of the shadow aspect that's really coming up. We went into the key signs and messages that are coming up at this time. We looked at the divine assistance that's coming in and the healing that's coming in, this change in identity and frequency, this complete ego death that the collective is going through, this reshifting and shaping of a new timeline of frequency. We're looking at what needs to happen when it comes to the divine feminine and masculine aspects. And we're also looking at what we need to do for ourselves as well as each other. So I just want to say, for everyone who's watched this, I know it's been almost an hour and a half of me going through this journey with you. But for those of you who, checked parts of it out, it doesn't matter if you were here from the beginning or not. For those of you who came in and out of this, thank you for checking it out, because I felt like this message was really needing to come out. And the timing of it is absolute, for sure. And as well with the full moon energies, I couldn't have selected a better time. Even now, those energies are already in effect. And fortunately, I'm in a position where I can give these messages. Fortunately, I'm in a better, headspace and heart space to bring you these messages. So that's why I wanted to do it now as well. Because like I said, I've been going through it as well, man. Like, it's not been easy. But, what we can do is keep doing our bit, keep healing ourselves, keep going with the flow, and just keep supporting each other, really. But yeah, what I really want to just hit home is that, honestly, you don't have anything to fear. If you knew how loved you were, you would not be so afraid of these changes. And you wouldn't be, people wouldn't be able to get you into a state of fear either. Not the media, not governments, not, political groups or social groups, nothing. Because you'd just be in that space of knowing. But you're being heavily protected, you're being heavily guided. And, I just want to say that you really are loved as well. Even if you don't feel like it, you truly are. I can tell you that. That's straight from source. You're truly loved. So I really hope that you come to realize that for yourself if you're not feeling it right now. And hopefully, once you start tapping into that energy more and opening yourself up to that divine love that's coming in, it will really supercharge your healing, for sure. I can promise you that. So whatever you do, just be receptive to that healing and that love that's coming in for you. Don't be afraid of it. And yeah, you're going to feel weird. It's going to be a bit strange, and it's going to be up and down, and there's going to be laughter and tears and all of that. But you're going to be so grateful at the end of it, I promise you. So just give yourself that opportunity to experience that. Okay. So anyway, guys, I just want to say thank you so much for checking out once again. Hi, Nat. Thank you so much for coming in and dropping a comment there. Love seeing you here. Thank you for coming in, girl. Appreciate it. But yeah, this is the messages I have for you guys. If you missed it, you can always rewind. If there's any parts you want to go back over, I will warn you, the first part is pretty heavy, but it's necessary. And yeah, I just want you guys to know that I really appreciate you. I really appreciate your patience as well. When, there's a bit of a delay with readings and stuff. But you guys are awesome. And, I really appreciate every bit of support I get on this journey. Because ultimately I do it for myself, but mostly I do it for you, actually. So thank you for just being your damn awesome selves, and for continuing to do the work at such hard times, because it just really does say a lot about you and about how serious you are about this journey. So thank you, ultimately. So anyway, enough of the mush. Oh God, we're gonna get a sip of water. But yeah, so thank you for checking that out. I didn't do a shadow work reading last week because I was so behind, and with this full moon coming up anyway, I felt like it would give me an opportunity to go deeper within these messages anyway. And yeah, I had to really focus on getting the monthlies out, which are all out now. And not only that, but you can now get an extended, actually. So if you find the messages really useful and you want to look at the other aspects where we dig in a little deeper, certain aspects of the reading where I go into it more to get further clarity, you can then get the extended. The link is in the description for each sign's September 2020 video. And you can also get that from the store on my website, so you can check that out there. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. I just want to wish you the best of luck through this process. If any of you want to have a little chat about anything, you're always welcome to reach out to me. I am still doing personal readings, although the reality is I won't be doing any until at least the end of the week, simply because I have to catch up with some other stuff, other work, and etc., etc. So I'll be available for personal readings from the end of the week onwards. But yeah, for now, just want to say thanks again. Have a good week. Take good care of yourselves and each other. Be gentle with yourself. Be loving with yourself. And I will speak to you again soon. Bye.